Hi, I'm Madam Z. Welcome to Madam Z and Friends podcast. Today, first, before we even get started, I want to say thank you so much to Purple Lava Coffee for sponsoring my podcast. And last but not least, I wanted to introduce our guest, Barry Blackmon. Barry, I wanted you to talk to the viewers and tell them exactly what it is that makes your organization so special. So tell them about it, please.
Well, I'm the founder and facilitator of the Gentleman's Project, which is a project that encourages young men, teaches young men, and inspires young men to um, focus on the things that we kind of forget about being a gentleman, the chivalry aspect. We lost focus on making sure that, you know, gentlemen are what we present: well read, well spoken, and in many cases, well educated young men. The aesthetic piece that we sometimes forget, or I guess the father role would teach a young man how to tie a tie, grooming, types of coordination in outfits or clothes, suits, those type of things, and how to speak eloquently when in public and what not to say in public. Those are some of the things that just a few bullets that the Gentleman Project inspires those young men, in which either have been brought to me or I've taught throughout the years, and also just those students or young men who need support.
Okay. Um, what was the what was the deciding factor to make you want to do something like this? Because that's a huge endeavor.
I think that we always focus on the intellectual part of young men, trying to focus on their academic growth, but we sometimes forget about their self-esteem. We always focus on how they should treat other people, but how do you feel? How does it feel when you put on that shirt or that tie? And there's like a trend recently now about the 3/4 shirt
I saw
or
that, yeah.
sweater, but just how do you feel when you put something on and you present yourself well? Now, again, you don't have to be the perfect guy, but just a young man that just like, hey, I like this gentleman. I want to, have him come to me for a job or an interview. Teaching those type of things, the chivalry, how to treat somebody when you go on a date, just those things you forget about, or not. The I guess you say the lesson that was once taught on how to be a gentleman is what we're trying to bring back.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it is indeed a lost art and is one that definitely needs to be brought back. Um, how do you find the gentleman? Is it only boys or it's on
It's
young
only
ladies?
it's only young men, because I know that there's a lot of entities and organizations that help young ladies. Um, um, the Toastmasters, I believe, was one that's for both. But I think just the way that you can raise a young lady. I won't be able to show a woman how to be a woman, but as far as a young man, that 85 studies show that 85% of households have father or fatherless figures in the house, and is raised by their moms, aunts, grandmamas. So with that, I think some of just to offer that support, mom, grandma, we got you. Sometimes we go out into the community, but most of them just recommendations from teachers, recommendations from moms, recommendations. We've even had it as far as grandmama saying, "Please come help my grandson. He's needing a lot of support." Not just his self-esteem, but just the way he carries himself. Always had his head down, did not know how to hold his head up high. The posture, even the smallest thing what we take for granted, how we eat at dinner, with the napkin. Some you just, go right into the meal. No, you don't go right into the meal. There's a napkin there. And why is the knife on this side? Why is the fork on this side? You always wait for the young lady to recommend something before you recommend something. Just those little small things that help, go a long way as far as raising young men. But they're recommended to me. And sometimes they're, like I said, they're through teacher recommendations, parents. It's a club. It's more or less a club or a little small organization that has just blossomed out into citywide. So it's going well.
Wow. Do you anticipate it expanding outside of the Atlanta area?
Well, there's also a few other groups that do it. I kind of started it from we have D9 fraternities, but my fraternity in itself was always how you look, and one of the stereotypical, Kappas, we always look good, smell good, well-read gentlemen, but it goes through all of them, the alphas, the sigmas, the omegas, all of them have an aspect of, how do you raise a young man? We have quite a few organizations or clubs, I would say, that help our young men through that aspect, through that lens. So it kind of started in that way, and I just branched off and just found that, there's some young men that really need help aesthetically, social emotionally, and then that's just where we've been gravitating to that since then.
Okay. Did you find that maybe there was an uptick after COVID?
An uptick? No, I think it was consistent. It's been consistent. I don't know about the dealing with COVID because we were focused mainly on how the young men, young women were going to receive their education. We weren't really focused on that part necessarily. It was just how we were going to reach our students at that time with academic, how we're going to reach them with the laptops or the books or the curriculum. How would we get out to those students and staff in that regard? So I think it's been consistent since COVID. I think it's been really consistent since COVID because you're always going to find a need or a young man who, this is my first date. I don't know what to do or what to wear. My first prom, I don't know what to do or what to say or how to ask. There's small things that chivalry it seemed like a lost art, and anybody could do it. But I just think that we find it more of a achievement level of, I've gained confidence in myself, and without disrespecting a young lady. Even if the young lady has a rejection, what do you do after that? Do you curse her out? No, of course not. But do you, now you say, well, thank you for the opportunity and time that I was able to speak with you. And at the time, that lady may come back around and be like, wow, this guy was the only one that was real respectful to me, and I want to give him a second chance, something like that. But those little things go a long way.
Walk me through on how you got it started, because that's another process in and of itself. How did you come up with that concept? You told me how you came up with the concept, but how did you get it started? What did you need to do to put this in place?
Well, one of the things were the way that they present themselves, the way that we speak, the way that not necessarily say society sees us, but how we see ourselves in society. And I think the tools that we needed, the well-dressed part, simply tucking your shirt in changes the aspect of your approach. Just the coordination of your tie to your suit, little things like that. And I saw that young men just needed help with not simply just tying ties, tying bow ties, the type of shoes that you would wear. You see, and I know sometimes it's cool, but in an interview, you had a young man once, had on sneakers with a suit. That they may not be his fault. He may just not have been taught or have an understanding of, you wear, flats, or you wear, what do you call them? Shoes with strings, or the business attire. I'm trying to think of the shoes. I wear monk straps, so it's a little bit up there. But the monk strap shoes, if that's what he so chooses. But just seeing that there was a need, and one thing we're teaching now is young men are coming out of the phase because I'm in a middle school setting, and they're coming out of the phase of colognes, and they don't know that one squirt is enough. And so you smell the young man and on top of his must, and it's like it doesn't, the hormones. So just teaching them what goes with their hormones right now is something that we're working on with the young men.
Okay. I'm going to take a pause. We're going to do a little trivia. I heard that you were a house aficionado Is that true? Yeah.
DJ, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Well, might have a couple, just 2 or 3.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, so, oh, I have a feeling you're going to do this. And then I'm going to give you the choices, okay? Who was the man behind the name Mr. Fingers and tracks such as Can You Feel It? Was it Larry Levan, Larry Heath, Larry Garner, Larry Heard?
I believe Heard.
And even I don't know, so hold on, I'm going
I
to find
believe
out.
Heard. Maybe wrong.
Ah, you're right.
Yeah.
See, look at him already panicking. Okay, the man behind the alias Mr. Fingers is Larry Heard, a pioneering figure in house music based in Chicago. Nice. Want you game for another one?
Sure.
Yes. Okay. Oh, how about this one? This man is behind classics such as Move Your Body, I Got the Feeling, and Mushrooms. What's his name? Marshall Jefferson, Francois Kevorkian, Colonel Abrams, David Morales.
Morales.
Move Your Body.
I don't know that.
So
I don't know. I don't know.
it's Marshall Jefferson.
Okay, no.
Yeah. Okay, you want to try one more?
Sure.
All right. That might be a little difficult.
If you'd asked me anything about classic hip hop, I would have got other than the house. But go ahead.
Okay. Oh, well, I'll have to pull that one up. So, but for right now, we'll stop. Let's talk. So, I heard you mention ties, clothing, bow ties. Where do you get your supplies from? Because that stuff's expensive. Are you funding this from out of your own pockets?
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of it's coming from, it started from out of pockets. And mostly when they graduate high school or matriculate onto high school, one of the tokens of achievement was a tie. They're a real unwrapped, not one of the ones but a tie. And then, you'll start to collect or accumulate ties over time. And then it becomes, something of a collector's item. Now, when they graduate high school, we got them bow ties. Because now you're seeing like, okay, either I'm going to college or I'm going to the workforce. I'm going to definitely need a different type of tie. I'm going to definitely need a bow tie, something that will just level up the game a little bit. But a lot of it comes from my left or right pocket. A lot of times it's some of the contributors, whether we have out of, like I said, my fraternity, there's a couple gentlemen that are from Omega Psi Phi. Most of them are from my own fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi. So we all contribute just the betterment and, just, making man. It just comes from, little small places that will get something donated to us. I remember we had one time some shirts that were, not shirts, but socks that were given to us. And we were just like, wow, we can just do with these socks is give them to the young men, but they may need them. So most of it's either donated or we'll just go ahead and purchase it ourselves from that aspect.
Wow. Have you ever had someone who, and you look like you're really young, so I might be a little wrong when I say this, but humor me. Somebody that you mentored from this organization that came back and decided to give. Has that happened?
Yes. Yeah, well, actually we had a couple. One that I personally was out when I taught at Best Academy. It was an all boys academy, or still is an all boys academy in Atlanta, and he ended up not. It's not. He ended up going in a different direction. what I mean by different direction, he was kind of I don't want to say a behavior issue, but it was one that you really wanted to work with, to grasp, in which I never gave up on him, and during that middle school era. And then when I moved to the high school setting and started being an instructional coach in the high school setting, the mother found out that I was at this school, so she was like, "No, I'm gonna send you to where he is, Mr. Blackmon." So
Nice.
I began to, really make sure he was okay, mentor him through that aspect. And then, when he became a senior, it was really rough because, there wasn't a lot of funding, scholarships necessarily. And then I made that, an opportunity for him to say, "Hey, that's not an excuse. Let's go ahead and start looking at some of these schools." So I ended up taking him down to Bethune-Cookman, which my alma mater. I took him personally to Bethune-Cookman. He got in Bethune, stayed throughout the entire, obviously, 4 years, which was a blessing. And then he ended up pledging the same organization same chapter that I was in. So he's also a Kappa from Gamma Theta, which is Bethune-Cookman. And just you could see the level of influence, the level of mentorship and guidance that this young man, received. And you don't really think about it. You just think you're just doing something good. But he's come back and spoken to a couple of my young men on a panel we've had. And he is really doing really good. He's in the workforce, obviously, and he's a college graduate. Never would have thought,
Wow.
this young man would be a college graduate, and he's doing very well. I'm really proud of him, super proud of him. And I just saw him a couple weeks ago, and so he's doing really good.
That's got to make you very, very proud.
Absolutely,
Oh my
absolutely.
goodness. So, of course, we always have that old adage, was it each one, reach one, teach one?
Right.
But of course, we always want to do so much more than that. But it's those success
Yeah.
stories like that keep you motivated,
Yes,
keep you
ma'am.
going
Yeah,
and
for sure.
continuing. Um, have you thought about branching outside of, and I already asked about Atlanta, but it seems to me like what you've started, if you're not going to do it, would you, what would you advise to someone who wants to do what you're doing? Say, for example, someone all the way on the other side of the US, somewhere in Washington, the state of Washington, they wanted to do something like this. What steps would you suggest that they begin?
I mean, just see where your heart leads you to of a need. You see, and I know this may sound somebody who I don't want to say has less than, but just see what somebody may need. And it's not just the selfish aspect of it. Just see what that person may need, and it starts to branch out. Be like, oh, you know what? I can do X, Y, and Z. Somebody who wants to start a running club, or in order to run, you need shoes. So that person may need to find, donors for shoes. Sometimes worn shoes may be the best thing than, brand new shoes. The reason why I say that is because they may not have had shoes before. So you look at it from that lens, and then you'll get a better donor. But I think that seeing where your heart takes you, doing for others. Our community, we were always have been a community that we're supposed to do for us, for each other. We've always been like that. Sometimes we just lost it, but somebody who used to be a butcher, somebody who's a baker, somebody who has cattle. I mean, back in we had a doctor, we had lawyers in our community. So I just think those things go back to the grassroots aspect of it and see what's needed in our community. For me, I just think the lost art of chivalry and the aesthetic piece, the confidence piece in our young men is somewhat lost a little bit. And you may find it when you get to college, or you may find it when you're at Morehouse or something. But what about that young man who's in search of it? Who's in middle school, who's running for office in his middle school grade, and
Right.
or whose debate team, and hasn't had the confidence enough to talk to that girl on the third row that's just the prettiest thing in his life. Just little small things like that. Or how can I wear a tie to church and surprise my mother with a tie, and I showed her I tied it. Just little things like that. Really go a long way in communication with our young men.
Okay. We're going to take a hot break and we're going to do a couple more trivia and then we're going to close out. Let's live a little. Come on. We've got this. The Masters at Work ambitious project, Nuyorican Soul, released a self-titled album in 1997 featuring collaborations with many musical legends. Which of the following artists did not appear on this album? Now, we're talking about the Masters at Work ambitious project, Nuyorican Soul. Self-titled album in 1997. A lot of collaborations, but which of the following artists did not appear on this album? So we have Jody Watley, Eddie Palmieri, Roy Ayers, Vince Montana.
I don't know. That's a
Take a guess. Which one just pops up to mind?
I don't know. The reason why I say I don't know is have heard so many remixes of Masters at Work. I can't tell what's what anymore. Certain DJs make it and flip it. I know Jody Wiley's done one. I just don't. I can't recall. I
And
can't
he thinks
recall.
he didn't know. You said the key, Jody Watley was the one that did not. Yes. There you
She
go.
did. It
Not
said it
on
did not.
Did not on Nuyorican Soul.
Oh,
Did
see,
not.
okay.
Did
That
not.
specific album. You're okay.
Right.
That's a little. Come on now.
Yeah. Well, see,
Yeah,
you did it though. All
that's
right.
too much.
But you did it. All right. So, closing out, what would you advise someone a young man who is lost and needs that fatherly advice, the big brother, the uncle, whatever it is that he is missing? What would you advise? What would be your number one piece of advice to him?
That needs that. That's a tough one. The reason why I say this is because sometimes that when they need it, they don't know they need it. It's a lot of times they fight it or push it away. And I think sometimes the mentor has to be ready to receive that young man or young lady. They're gonna fight. I don't need you. I don't know what you don't know. You don't know shit. I don't want to talk to you. You just have to keep up and say, hey man, I'm here whenever you're ready, bro. Or I think that whenever somebody's extending the hand, if this is the young man you speak of, if somebody's extending a hand of brotherhood or sisterhood, however you want to look at it, just always be ready to receive it because you don't want to block your blessings or block your opportunity to grow, I think. But, people are going to be human. Everybody's not ready to sometimes receive help. And if you're that person that's, out there giving the support, help, guidance, just keep pushing, keep doing it. That's all I can really say to it.
That's
We
some
all have a
sound.
calling.
That's
Yeah.
some sound advice. So, for those of you who are coming across many different challenges, as you heard Mr. Blackmon say, you may not want to, but you probably should when someone extends the assistance because you have no idea where it will take you. So, listen, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate
Appreciate
you.
you.
let's have you come back
Sure, whatever
if
you
you don't
need.
mind. And for our viewers, I hope that you learned something new and can take the advice and the situations that he was talking to you about and implement it in your community, because that's where the help is needed. We'll look forward to seeing you on Madam Z and Friends podcast. Bye for now.